Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing a foundation review, and this foundation is not new. It's actually been out for probably a couple years now, but I've always wanted to pick it up in Sephora and I just never could bite the bullet because it is a little bit on the more expensive side. But since the Sephora VIB Rouge sale happened last week, or maybe it was the week before that, I've had it for about a week and a half now, I decided that's what I wanted to pick up. I think I only picked up like 3 or 4 things throughout the entire sale, and this foundation was one of them. So this is the Dior Airflash Spray Foundation, and this bad boy comes in at $62, which is definitely my most expensive foundation, I believe, in my entire collection. I never really purchased super high-end foundations like Dior, Chanel, Givenchy. I never even look into those. Just because I feel like, I don't know, a lot of the times they're just way overpriced and they just tend to have a lot of fragrance in them. But there's always been kind of back and forth reviews on this being a very good foundation. I know a lot of celebrity makeup artists use this, and so I wanted to give it a whirl. So that's what I'm going to be talking about in today's video. I'm going to do a little demo and talk through, give you my thoughts on this foundation, and if you are interested in learning more about it, then let's get started. I want to start out by mentioning that this is an aerosol slash spray mist foundation because I didn't mention that in the beginning. If you aren't familiar with this, that's kind of why I was a little intrigued by it. Is I don't think I've ever tried a spray or aerosol foundation. So yes, that's what Airflash is, and it's a little bit more diverse than your typical application for a liquid or stick foundation. So I want to go into the actual application of this foundation. It took me a while to figure out the best way that I like to apply this, and I had read several reviews on the best way to apply it, and a lot of people really preferred a brush, and I will say that that's how I ended up liking it best. I feel like I got the fullest coverage out of using an actual brush. So what I like to do is spray about 3 quick sprays onto my brush. That'll cover one side of my face. It gives me a nice medium to full coverage, and then I'll do another quick 3 sprays for the other side of my face. My final thing that I like to do is I like to take my Real Technique sponge or my beauty blender and just do one more quick spray on it and just make sure everything is tapped in. I like to just press it into my skin, make sure everything is blended, and just I don't know, I want to make sure that everything is one with the skin, I guess you could say, and that's the best way that I have found that I like to apply it. As far as coverage goes, I would definitely give it a very customizable coverage, which I love in a foundation. And when I say customizable, I mean you can go from very sheer to pretty full coverage. I would give this a maximum, for the maximum coverage, I would say it's probably a medium to full. It's not going to be like your full-on Urban Decay all-nighter, but it still gives you a really nice covered look. So I really do appreciate that about this foundation, because I don't love foundations to where it either has to be full coverage or it has to be super sheer. So I do feel like you could definitely customize this. If you want lighter coverage, just use a couple sprays on a beauty blender. If you want fuller coverage, the method that I have been applying it, or the way I've been using it, I feel like definitely gives me the fullest amount of coverage available with the foundation. Really quickly, I do want to mention the shades. I don't always talk about the shade range in foundations, but I feel like this is kind of important. There's only 11 shades available in the Airflash range, and I think that's very limited. They don't really span very dark either. The deep and the dark ranges are very limited in my opinion. However, I do want to mention really quickly what my shade was and what matched me the best, and that was 201 Linen. And if you are familiar with Bare Minerals or MAC shades, this would be equivalent to like an NC20, NC25 in MAC, and probably like a fairly light to light in Bare Minerals. So this I found to match me the best because it was the most yellow out of the light medium shades, and I do want to mention a lot of the shades I sprayed on the back of my hand ran a little bit more on like the salmon to pink undertone, so just watch out for for that. But if you do feel like you are anywhere close to my skin tone, linen is really a perfect match for me right now. As far as the longevity goes on this foundation, I would give it a standard wear for my skin. I would definitely say that it lasts for a good 8 hours. Then after that, kind of 7 to 8 hour period, I do feel like, you know, it doesn't really look as fresh as what it did from the previous hours before. And honestly, for me, I don't always feel like I need a super long wearing foundation because I'm filming videos throughout the day and I'm running errands, and it's not really important to me to just look super flawless for, you know, a full 12 hours. So for me, the wear on this was good, and everyone's skin type is obviously going to be different with this foundation, but I would definitely say solid 8 hour wear for me. The finish on this foundation is really natural. It does give kind of that kind of blurred airbrush effect. I'm very pleased with the way it looks. As far as which skin type I feel like this would do best on, I would definitely say normal skin types. Obviously, you guys know I have very dry skin, and I will say that it doesn't sit the best on my dry areas, which is generally around my nose and on my chin. And they don't look awful when I apply this foundation, but I can definitely see the foundation emphasizes the dry areas just a tad bit. Not as bad as some other foundations I have in my collection, but just keep that in mind if you do have dry skin, dry patches. Definitely make sure you moisturize very well before applying this. And honestly, if you do wear more of like a sheer to light coverage with this foundation, it doesn't pick up the dryness as much. But if you're wearing more fuller coverage like I am today, tends to grab to those just a little bit. If you have oily skin, it's really hard for me to say how this foundation is going to hold up on you. I want to say just by it, you know, my 8 hour wear claim, it may not be the longest wearing for oily skin, but again, it's just something I feel like you're gonna have to test out. I never have a good recommendation for oily skin because I've never had oily skin, but I definitely do feel like if you're normal and your skin, you know, just never really feels dry, never really feels oily, I feel like it would do really great for you. Yeah, for that purpose. Alright, so last thing, do I think this foundation is worth $62? No, I do not think any foundation is worth $62 in my opinion. If it were up to me, all foundations would be under like the mid-30 range. Obviously that's not realistic, but since this is such a pricey foundation, I liked it. I will overall say that I like it. I think it's pretty, but I will say I have foundations in my collection that I feel look very similar to this and perform in a similar way, sit very similar on my skin, and they're much cheaper than this. So I can't really see myself going back out and repurchasing this unless it were on sale again. That's why I purchased it to begin with during the VIB Rouge sale. So, you know, maybe one day when I'm out, if the sale happens to be going on again and I feel like, hey, I want the Airflash, that's the only time I could really see myself repurchasing this. So for me, it wasn't a total in love, obsessed, have to have it, it's so worth the $62. I don't think any foundation is worth $62. It was more like, I didn't hate it. I like it. It looks very pretty. But again, it's hard to, you know, it's hard to hype up something that has that high of a price range. You have to be absolute perfection, in my opinion, to get a perfect review if something is $62. Alright guys, so I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope I gave you a insight on this interesting foundation here. If you have any questions, if I did not answer something, feel free to leave that down below. And yeah, I love doing foundation reviews. I don't really get to do them often just because I feel like everything's on the internet right now. You can go look up everything, but there wasn't a ton on this. When I went to go look up swatches and reviews and things like that, I didn't really find a ton of things. So I wanted to, you know, give you guys my input, and I hope you enjoyed. Again, have any questions, leave them down below, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.